something
Brother always got it
else.
for me.
Oh! Drop down! Reverse direction! Prepare for landing!
Damn. Okay. Fair enough.
Santa Claus, you stand accused of crimes against humanity. How do you plead?
Not Santa!
There he is again!
There he is again.
Ah, the hypochondriac's back. So what is it this time?
Well, my lead pipe hurts a little.
Zoidberg, are you coming?
Sure, me.
Because I don't want you touching that thing.
I know that. Surrender your mysteries to Zoidberg.
Gee, Bender, how are you gonna get through these bars? I don't know, moron. Suppose I bend them?
Bend 'em?
Okay. Oh!
Mommy! Santa's through the perimeter!
This is it, kids. Take your suicide pill so you won't suffer.
No! Wait! I'm the good Santa! I've got toys at very reasonable prices! What do I have to do to send you home with 12 orphans today?
I'm afraid we only want one.
Whatever you say, Chief. I'll show you what I got in stock.
I remember this from when we were kids. The warden would trot you out in front of prospective parents, and they'd judge you like a piece of meat.
I'm Albert.
Kind of fatty.
Kind of fatty.
Oh!
So
Oh no! Professor will hit me. But if Zoidberg fixes it, then perhaps gifts. Oh! Ow. What?
Zap will be snoo-snooed by the large women. He that is designated
I
Fry
want to be
will be
dead
snoo-snooed by the
by
petite women. And
True.
Kif, as the most attractive male, will be snoo-snooed by the most beautiful women of Amazonia. Then the large women. Then the petite women. Then
The
the
petite
large
one.
women again.
You'll notice he no longer suffers delusions of humanity.
Affirmative. I feel nothing. I am a robot. Beep, 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 beep.
You've made a terrible mistake. He's a human being, not a machine. Oh, Fry!
Beep, 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 beep.
Gonna sing a little tale about a battle called Waterloo.
I'll never recombobulate this ship. When the professor finds out, he'll tear me a new cloaca. Oh, wait. What would the robot do? Frame someone.
What up?
friend someone.
Tell the slaves they can all go. Go faster? I told them, but they're so damn lazy. No, I mean they're all free. Freeloading off you? I agree. No, I...
Pharaoh Amenhotep is dead.
He's whipping angels now. Apparently, this brave
Whipping
Adonis,
angels now.
this Cadillac of men, was the first person on Mars.
First person on Mars? I should have been the first person on Mars. He stole my clover. He stole my name. And he stole my life. Ugh! And now he broke my hand.
His legend lives on.
Wow, look at that. Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system.
Where?
Right in front of you.
Oh.
We'll camp near the top. The rustlers will be sure to spot us there.
Where? I'm walking on sunshine. Sunshine.
We all need a new angle on life.
Bender, you've got to help us.
I try to get out, but they keep pulling me back
Pulling
in.
me back in.
Wangle a new dangle on life.
Oh! No, Bender, the other way!
I like him better this way.
I'm sad now.
It's fine.
The president is dead. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Oh, damn. To the bed, man.
Woo-hoo,
To the
yeah,
bed.
he's a visionary.
Everyone walked out. They hated it. I've seen plagues that had better opening nights than this.
Certain clues suggest that the culprit is none other than our own Philip J. Fry.
What?
Oh, it was a brilliant
bottle?
scheme,
What?
but you made one fatal
Bottle?
mistake, leaving this confession note.
Fry, you scoundrel!
Prophecy is strange and
Bottles?
crudely
Really?
drawn at best. It indicates that we are here, and our next pharaoh is over there near some tents.
Those are waves, jackass! It's supposed to be a river!
Give me some skin, bruh. I'm making you an honorary globetrotter.
Love it.
In fact, everybody in this room's an honorary globetrotter.
I'm a globetrotter.
Did you just say?
Too late, hot plate.
Ah, crap!
Don't be
Well,
upset.
I don't remember any of that, but I don't have the wherewithal to defend myself.
Then I have no choice but to charge you the full cost of the materials. $10.
Ooh.
There you go.
What have I done?
Wait,
That's pretty funny. Actually.
Stupid jerk!
he's alive!
Everything comes in threes.
Bender, what was it like lying in that hole for 1,000 years?
I was enjoying it until you guys showed up.
Let's work on your execu-speak. I'm worried about blank.
Don't you worry about blank. Let me worry about blank.
Good. I also would have accepted blank.
Blank?
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 You're not looking at the big picture.
Commemorative turkey
Yep.
basters. Get your commemorative turkey basters.
Yo, hook me up. My turkey is dry and I've tried everything. Oh, right. Never mind.
All the guilt. The unbearable guilt.
Zoidberg guilt.
Behold, I have emerged from the place of spells and fairies.
It is he, just as the wall of prophecy prophesied.
Bender.
Long live Pharaoh Bender!
This society is a bunch of idiots.
Oh, me a booger blaster. I'll blast a booger so hard that...
Fry, we're worried about Planet Express.
Don't you worry about Planet Express. Let me
Let
worry
me
about
worry
blank.
about blank.
Wait! Everyone must know.
Love it.
I broke
Love
the
it.
professor's bottled ship. And what is worse, I framed my dearest friend, Fry.
shit.
I can never repay him his $10, so I must take the only honorable path. What with the killing myself?
The only thing that keeps me sane is the thought that I have all eternity in which to perfect my art. Now. Ah! Damn you! Ah.
It happens. It happens, Bender.
Lowly slave, why are you not working?
I am.
I met yourself to death.
Mighty
happens.
Pharaoh, it hurts when I breathe.
Well, then, what do you think you should stop doing?
Breathing.
All right, they can swim. It's all coming back to me now.
This! You for this!
Thanks.
No! Ow! Fire hot!
The
Fire
prophecy
hot.
will help. Ah, fire indeed hot.
Here I go already. Oh,
Oh! That sword cost $5,000!
Dollaroo.
Fry did it.
You really think they'll remember me?
Absolutely.
Well, in that case, one planet down. Helmsman, set
One
course
planet down.
for Earth.
That's not Earth.
Oh.
Love it.
I'd like a jumbo squid log.
Where's my sister? She's supposed to be here. We're supposed to be swimming right now. In 1 minute.
Ah.
You can think of large language model AI as a whole bunch of people whose work was combined into this single document. But why do people want it to be a creature? You're a young man. You think you're the center of the universe. Of course you think you're making God.
You're describing a lot of men I dated in my 20s.
Down.
Why do UFO sightings persist? Are at least some of them figments of our imagination? Or are we missing something? In my latest book,
they're fine.
Take Me to Your Leader, I actually explore what's possible in this universe, given the universal laws of physics. If the aliens are out there, the laws of physics will dictate how they find us. I also narrated the audiobook, so I'm duly informed that the
I kind of want to buy that.
audiobook and the print version are available now, wherever books are sold. This is Star Talk Special Edition, which means I got Gary O'Reilly, co-host here. Gary, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Neil. Over in London, though, so slightly remote.
Okay,
London,
only
they call
slightly.
them
On the
car
scale of the
parks,
universe,
don't they?
you're right next door.
It's weird. It's weird.
I also have with me Nagin Farsad. Nagin, welcome back to Star Talk.
Hello, I'm.
Technically, since I'm a planetarium director, and I do shit like this all the time, Neil deGrasse Tyson is my cohort. He's my what do you call it? A colleague. Neil deGrasse Tyson is technically my colleague. I've never spoken with him, but he is a planetarium director. I'm a planetarium director. He is, on the basis of what we do, he is my colleague.
So excited to be back.
It's been too long. I miss you.
Absolutely. I have to say, you don't look a day over the last time we talked.
Black don't crack. Is that racist? I don't know. That may have been a little racist. It may have been a tiny bit racist. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Black
Talked about dark matter.
Let me figure out how old I would need to be for that. You're a comedian. You're also a TED Fellow for social justice. That's a thing?
I mean, I do comedy that tries to save the world.
Okay.
And it's worked,
and
guys. That's why we live in utopia.
Fake the Nation. That's the coolest title ever.
That's right.
And I'll never soon forget the title of your book from a few years ago.
How to make white people laugh. Yeah.
That's best title ever.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. So Gary,
Yes.
what have you researched for today? It's got something to do with the internet, and it's going to mess up the world, something like that.
Oh, yeah, let's get the good stuff out. So, is the internet too far gone in our lifetimes? The internet has changed from a novelty to a central influence in our lives, and now with the advent of AI, hawked as the potential doomsday for humankind. Well, isn't it? Today we're going to talk about whether that's the case, how the internet influences our world, and how we can come together and fix it or not. So, Neil, if you would introduce our guest, and I think this is just the right person to discuss this topic.
Yeah, there's a uniquely qualified person in the world to address those issues and more, and I've got him sitting right here. Jaron Lanier, dude.
Hey, how are ya?
Welcome to Star Talk.
Well, I think you can speak a little lower than me, but that does not mean I will not attempt it.
Yeah, we don't use the word polymath too freely today because there aren't many folks. There's so much specialization. But if I were to bring that into the 21st century, I would apply it to you. You're a computer scientist, but interdisciplinary. And what's your title? Prime Unifying Scientist at Microsoft. That's a title? Is that on your business card?
It actually is, yeah. Okay, it's actually a joke. Okay, it's Office of the Chief Technology Officer, Prime Unifying Scientist. So it spells out octopus. And there are several reasons for that. One is I used to study cephalopod cognition because it's absolutely fascinating. But then there's also that some accuse me of starting to look like one myself.
Oh, that happens. That can happen. That
can happen.
Yeah.
And so between those two things, I'm the octopus. Yeah.
I'm just impressed that that's even a title that one can ascend to. Are you going to break the mold in your? Can anyone become you in this? Well, the answer is no. Just say no.
Well, I will tell you one thing about my role. I have an agreement with them where I can speak my mind, including being encouraged to criticize the company itself, so long as I'm clear that I'm not speaking for Microsoft. And somehow they haven't imploded. I think it actually, I would like to see more people with that role in the tech industry.
Whoa.
Okay, so in that sense, I don't want to be the last. I'm aware of one other maybe who would be Vince Cerf over at Google, but I think we're the only two. And we really desperately need more of us.
Because you know when someone has where they're clamming shut on what you really want them to say about what they're doing. You know it in an interview, right?
Yeah, and in Silicon Valley, that's like 90% of the time.
Yeah. So you're considered the father of virtual reality, in part because you even coined the term?
Yeah. Okay. Look, I was young. All right. I think
irresponsible.
And on drugs, maybe. Was there that involved?
I've never used drugs, and I blame virtual reality for that.
It has been.
He's missing out. He's missing out on some psilocybin. Totally missing.
It served that role.
You haven't needed it,
Well,
virtuality.
and I live in Santa Cruz, so I'm in violation of a number of local ordinances by not using drugs, but somehow it just hasn't happened.
And you've got a book from a few years ago, 10 arguments for deleting your social media accounts.
Yes, I do.
That was bold back then, and it's probably even more significant today.
Well, the thing about that book is that high schoolers are forced to read it. My own daughter was forced to read it. And so whenever I'm in an airport, there are all these high school kids who come up to me and say, we were forced to read your book. And all I can tell them is, well, you must.
I was never fucking forced to read it. God damn it. I was forced to read, what was I forced to read? Something... To Kill a Mockingbird and other things. The Odyssey I was forced to read. Not this though. This was after my time.
Have done something very bad. And I hope you learned your lesson.
That's the only way.
What else? There was another book I was forced to read and I can't fucking remember it. Oh, that's gonna bother me. It's gonna fucking
reply to that comment for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So, if you started virtual reality, what were you thinking behind it? Did you think that other people would be not content with their own reality, and you have to create one for them?
Oh God, no! Explicitly not. No, here's my.
The Great Gatsby of Mice and Men. I wasn't forced to read 1984, but I read it on my own. Lord of the Flies, Romeo and Juliet, read Mice and Men, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Crucible I did. Not The Outsiders. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Scarlet Letter, which is like my favorite. 1984, we read Animal Farm, we read Catcher in the Rye. I did not have to read Little Women, but I know of it. Macbeth, Great Gatsby, Oliver Twist. The Good Earth. Here, this is what I'm looking at right now. We did have to read Wuthering Heights, which I never did, and I failed every fucking exam. That's about it. Midsummer's Night Dream, but that was just like a, I don't know. We read Hamlet. The Raven. I actually tried to make The Raven into a song. It did not go well. I'm not that good. I think The Raven lends itself to like a metal song, but I just can't do it. Anyway, Tom Sawyer, Telltale Heart, we had to read. I don't know what the bell jar is. Not familiar. Great Expectations we had to read. Couldn't tell you anything about it, so do not ask me. Tale of Two Cities we had to read. The Odyssey I read in college. Odyssey was like a big thing in college. Because I took mythology in college, and it kind of... Whenever you take mythology in college, like, you think that mythology would be like mythology and not just like Greek mythology. They should reframe it as Greek mythology because I thought I was gonna learn all kinds of mythology. No, it's just Greek mythology. I read Canterbury Tales in high school. The Tempest I read in college. War and Peace I read in high school. I actually read a bunch of shit in high school. War of the Worlds I read on my own. Handmaid's Tale. Fahrenheit 451 we read in high school. Moby Dick we read in high school. Beowulf we read in high school. Pride and Prejudice we read in high school. Like over like 4 years. So this is like, it's not just like one class or whatever. Good Friends, Romans, Countrymen, lend me your ears. Like, we had to memorize that fucking thing. I don't know. Why did we have to memorize that? I don't remember. Friends, Romans, Countrymen, lend me your ears. That's all I remember about it. Anyway, Grapes of Wrath. Never read it. I just know it from the, I was
always taught that if someone's being nasty
Othello, I know a little bit. Beowulf, I know. Uncle Tom's Cabin, we had to read that in high school. It was a pretty hard read, actually. Let me hear rears. It's funny. Yeah, what is it? Friends? Countryman speech. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them, so the good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious, for so it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here under leave of Brutus and the rest. Yeah, I had to... they made us memorize this whole fucking thing. I don't know why. Why did we have to fucking memorize this? I have no clue. If you take my class and come to my planetarium, I will make you remember the sky because it's a thing you can do. Like, it's actually, like, useful in your fucking life. In what way is this useful in anyone's life? In what way? Tell me. Like, anyone tell me. Unless you're a incredibly huge big titty woman singing these praises and people are looking at you for your titties. Why? Like what good does it do me as a non-big titty woman? Okay? I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway.
My thought about it was that there were two reasons to want to do virtual reality. One was for the extraordinary weird ways that I hope people will eventually start connecting with each other with it, and for interesting experiences in art. I still love all.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I have a Meta Quest 2 right over there. I haven't used it in like 5 years.
All that. Not that the industry's done much of that, but the other reason is that, you know, we're born into this world and we get so used.
And I think AI is like super cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I play Phasmophobia with AI. I bought my sister a Quest 2 so we could play Phasmophobia together. Like, it's incredibly horrifying. But that's the whole like fucking point of why I bought her that.
To it that we don't appreciate it. And when you have a vivid enough alternative for a moment, and then you come back to this, normal reality suddenly takes on the amazing qualities it always had, but you can sort of.
No, it doesn't. Normal reality is fucking awful. If I were to go to bed right now and never wake up, that would be the preferable option.
Have become inured to it. So like you put on the goggles and then you take them off. And like one of the things I used to love to do when VR was very new back in like the 80s or something, I'd put a flower or a cool mineral in front of somebody without them knowing it while they had the headset on, and they take it off and they would like look at this thing and it's like they never saw one before, because in a way.
So I don't believe him for a fucking minute.
They hadn't, you know? And so as a palette
I don't believe him for a minute.
Freshener, as a point of comparison, it helps you appreciate reality. So to me, it is not an alternative to reality. It's a way to appreciate reality by finally having a contrast, because it's very hard to make a contrast to reality.
Okay, but what you think and how people actually use the product don't necessarily have to comport. So anyone I know who uses virtual reality gets lost in it, and regular reality becomes less interesting to them because they're on a hike, they're on a space adventure.
There's no boundaries where they can go.
No boundaries, who they can meet, what social life they can conduct.
I agree, Sun Wukong. I agree 100%.
And you yourself look like something out of Star Trek with your jacket here.
It
looks very
does.
future.
Yeah,
like,
I love
did
it.
you pick that up in a virtual reality?
And do you know how you get dreads? You don't fucking wash yourself. That's actually how you get dreads. Your hair literally becomes tangled. You are, by definition, a dirty person. And I'm open to anyone proving me wrong, but you're not going to, because that is by definition what dreadlocks are. A person that does not shower and your hair gets tangled and it just grows in the tangle. It is by definition that.
Reality future, and you're trying to influence regular reality?
Yeah.
Afterwards, but how they get there, you do not. So whenever I wash my hair, I wash it with shampoo and conditioner. I just did it earlier. You will never get dreadlocks if you wash your hair on a consistent basis. Maybe after you're dirty and they come out to be dreadlocks, fair enough. But you're an unkempt person.
You got it. That's exactly what happened.
I knew I had you.
Can I also speak up for a subsect of the population, which is people who put on a virtual reality headset and they immediately want to throw up because it gives them motion.
And it's fine. Like, you can wash the dreadlocks themselves, but to initially obtain the dreadlocks,
I have two rants I have to give. Can
Yeah.
you guys
Please.
handle a rant? Let me do the rant you just inspired,
Okay.
and then I want to do the rant that you just inspired. For reasons that nobody knows, there's some subsets in the population who are more vulnerable to nausea in VR.
I'm one, yes.
And they're almost universally female, and
Really?
they're almost universally not white.
I've never gotten nausea with VR, but I'm white and I don't have a vagina. I have a dick, so.
Now,
what?
And they're mostly.
I wasn't expecting. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
Iranian.
And they all wear orange glasses like this.
They're mostly Asian, mostly East Asian. I'm not aware of any study on Iranians in particular, or Middle Easterners.
And you're
in particular.
Iranian?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the thing is, all right, let me try to explain to you how frustrating
I mean, he's on Star Talk.
this
He
is.
must know something.
The virtual reality industry in Silicon Valley spent, we don't know quite how much, but
I'm not on there, to be fair.
But based on figures that have been revealed, it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And just for the sake of argument, let's call it $250 billion in developing VR in the last, I don't know, 5 years.
That's how much money it took to go to the moon, just to, if you want a context
well,
here.
Think about what you could do with that money. Okay, now before we get to the question at hand, I want to point something out. Like, let's say I showed you in.
I run the largest planetarium in Texas. I ain't on Star Talk, even though technically Neil deGrasse Tyson is my colleague.
In the 70s, a computer, or like a laptop, and here's a screen and there's a keyboard, and you would say, what would you want to do with this? Might you not think, I would edit a document on that.
I want to
that might be better than a typewriter. And would you
That's
feel,
the limit of what I would have said.
But you would have said that.
Definitely.
Okay.
I would have said, like, let's make, like, boobies out of, like, zeros and ones in, like, a...
I do enjoy making titties out of ASCII text.
Okay, so your desire has been met, but let us just.
I'm just saying, yeah, like.
Dude, he's like brushing past that. Does he not like titties? Does he not like what is it? Open parentheses, space, period, space, close parentheses, and then do it again? Who doesn't like titties on...
No, listen. And you say men don't listen. Okay, we do. All right, but I want to address this question of like,
and she's the one that said it.
Be surprised
It's not
if
even
after,
misogynistic.
let's say, $250
It's the
billion
girl that
of
said
investment, there was no word processor on this thing? You would find that surprising. Okay, now if I show you a VR headset and I say, what would you want to do with this? One of the first things you might say is, I'd like to be able to do 3D design work in it. Would you be surprised if after a quarter of
Sony totally, and he's actually right about this. Like, you want to do like 3D design because you can move your hands in 3D and you can make stuff. Why is not Dreams in like on PC? Because I used to stream Dreams way back in the day, like way back in the day, like Dreams, the PlayStation, the people that made Little Big Planet made Dreams, and it was just completely a three-dimensional 3D like game creation engine, and people made like insane shit, and it's wild that engine isn't on the PC right now, because I would be playing some Dream shit right now. I wouldn't be watching this. I'd be playing Dream stuff.
$1 trillion, there's no
whatever.
decent, reliable, usable 3D design program with a VR headset. All right, I'm surprised, but that's exactly what happened. Now we can go into why, but the thing is, VR has been sort of a disaster because the companies that are doing it are absolutely trying to make it into whatever they already know how to sell. Apple wanted to make it into a big iPad or a movie theater. Meta wants to make it into a social network with evil qualities and so on. Nobody's let VR be VR.
He's not wrong.
Or there's the gaming people who want it to be a game, which can work to a degree, but only for a narrow... But let me get back to your...
A narrow subset? You think gamers are a narrow subset? That's a wild take. That is an incredibly wild take.
Your question. I won't name names here, but one of the very, very, very large tech companies spent many billions of dollars on a headset. And I talked to the person who was the head of that program, and they said to me, you have to try the latest version. We have absolutely solved the nausea problem.
If you're on
We have
Kick,
absolutely solved it. All that stuff you said about nausea.
I'm sorry that your messages won't show up on what I have, but I can still read you because I know there are like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people on Kick.
It's gone. It's obsolete. And I said, okay. Have you tested it on a broad population? Have you tested it on women? Have you tested it on Asian women? Well, why would we do that? It's the same for everybody. And I'm like...
I think that's a weird thing. Have you tested it on women? Have you tested it on Asian women? It's like an incredibly specific subset. But
okay, have you read any papers? There are these academic... We don't need to read papers. We're way ahead of the academic world.
We have a room of white men.
And then, do you have any female engineers on the team that is working on this? No, we have none. And I'm like... Okay, my friend, get ready. And so then the first review is from the Wall Street Journal. Asian female got sick. Ooh, now you can figure out which company it was. But anyway, the thing is, nobody's going to bother. Nobody's obsessive out there to...
I think VR is great. I'm actually waiting for the Steam VR set.
Figure that out. But the thing is, this is a disaster. Like, there's 2 disasters. There's the moral and ethical disaster of hiring in such a narrow way that we make ourselves blind and we make our products narrow. And then there's the disaster of not actually serving the people we're supposed to serve by refusing to look at them. And after you've heard all I just said, what I want to say, yeah, you might have some friends who are getting lost in VR, but VR as a whole has not found a popular audience at anything like the scale of like a normal computer or a phone or something. It ought to, but it's not going to as long as we willfully blind ourselves. And there's this idea that, well, there's an old joke in business about like, well, you lose money on every unit, but you make up for it in margin. But that's what we do. Like in Silicon Valley, we say, well, maybe we're doing something stupid, but we'll do it at such...
Oh, he's from Silicon Valley. That makes a lot of sense.
Big scales that it'll make up for it, and it doesn't work. You know, it's just
the only friend that I have that really uses VR is literally to like rewatch The Departed and then fall asleep. That's like so far the only use I've seen of VR.
I can see my VR fucking headset from where I am. And the last time I used it was probably 5 years ago. For Phasmophobia. And it's amazing, but it didn't accommodate my glasses. It did not accommodate my glasses, so I haven't used it since then. And yeah, that's basically it. I don't know what to tell you.
Are from out of my
look,
friends.
if it makes them happy, who are we to judge?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that
yeah,
the things you can do, you can turn yourself into an approximate 4-dimensional shape to develop 4-dimensional intuition. You can merge bodies.
You know what I want to do with AI and VR? Okay. If I can put on a VR headset and play with 4 people and me be the dungeon master and me like actually be able to play like a D&D game or Neon Genesis, which I'm a backer of, they're gonna charge me $1,000 fucking for. I want that, but
to be clear, we live and think in 3 dimensions, and one for me, one of the greatest challenges as a kid was I want to think in 4 dimensions. That would be just so cool to be able to do that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, someday, oh God, when I was, oh gosh, probably 21 or something, and we were.
I would be a completely better interviewer than this guy. This guy sucks.
Starting the company, all the engineers at the first VR startup, and this would have been in 81 or something, we made a pact among ourselves that if we ever had kids, which seemed impossibly remote and was never going to happen, we would raise them in little VR goggles, and then we would, while they were asleep, we would change up bigger ones as they grew up. So they'd grow up entirely, and the purpose would be that they'd grow up in 4 dimensions and be 4D natives.
Oh.
That was the idea, and then they'd be the world's best mathematicians. And so
this is the Truman Show, but as conceived by mathematicians.
Yeah.
Excuse me, by crazy mathematicians.
Wait, but then but just that during their sleep they would have.
Well, no, during their
they
sleep,
swap it out.
You'd have to swap out the headsets.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Presumably, we'd feed them. I mean, given
All
us,
day,
maybe not.
right.
But the idea is that they grow, and then so when I told my daughter this when she was like 11 or something, she got really pissed at me. I could have been the first kid in 4 dimensions. What's wrong with you? And I was like, oh.
Okay, so just because I want to pivot to social media in just a minute, but let me try to summarize some of what you said.
Yeah,
that
he's not
VR
the best
has its
guy.
uses, but in fact, it has yet to have what they
This is why we need our reaction channel show.
call the killer app, where everyone has to go to VR.
Okay.
To go to VR
I agree with that take.
see and experience this thing that everyone just has to do, rather than just see a movie in VR or play your video game in VR or these other things that are just a transposed experience.
Video games should be in VR. Again, Phasmophobia. That's actually literally why I bought my VR headset. Yeah.
Experience, as opposed to a completely new experience like your 4D child.
You currently can't go into commercial VR and change into a different kind of animal or become a shared creature with other people. I make this kind of jewelry. I can't design these shapes in VR, which is insane in 2026. It's insane that I can't do this in VR. So look.
Why? Why is that insane? I don't know why.
In a way, VR doesn't exist yet. Like just the most basic apps, the hardware is getting there, but the software has not been born yet.
Nope, that's lame. Ready? Do you harbor questions about the universe? Some long-held bit of cosmic curiosity?
Okay.
Something Jaron said
going
about
forward.
Meta, and they thinking about developing VR as a social media tool. If I've got that wrong, please correct me. We're looking at a company that, as we sit here in April 2026, has just been found liable in a lawsuit.
So they're in April. This came out 2 days ago, so we're nearly
For
in
social media addiction. That sounds so...
Meta and YouTube found negligent landmark social media addiction case.
So wrong,
fair
turning
enough.
VR into something that
I
has an
agree with
addictive
that.
element to it. So I'd like Jaron's thoughts on that, if at
I
all
would.
possible.
Yeah, this was something all of us in the VR world warned about from the early days, that it could be turned into an addictive medium, definitely.
So you saw it coming?
Oh, everybody saw it coming.
Okay.
No, listen. All right, look, if
Nobody saw this coming. The only reason that it turned into an addictive media thing is because of fucking corporations. Corporations, like their whole fucking business plan is to make you stay on their apps. Like, well, Sun Wukong probably not, but like dating apps, they don't want you to find a mate. Ever. They want you to get on the app and stay on it. It's like social media. They don't want you to like log onto social media and read a few posts and be like, oh yeah, that's good. No, they want you to shit on each other and for you to stay on the app. as long as you fucking possibly can. Cyberpunk, baby.
Do you want to talk about seeing it coming? One of the very, very first books about computers ever, maybe the first one was by Norbert Wiener, 1950, and it was called The Human Use of Human Computers.
Yeah, they want you
and
to
it was
find your
essentially about
dad.
how the most important thing
Son
about
of a
computers is how they could automate behaviorist algorithms to change people, to manipulate
Yeah,
people,
what-
and that since they would
what do
eventually
I
be
got
networked. He has a
on
thought
my,
experiment in there about people walking around with little radio connected
Plenty of
devices
fish,
that would go to
my-
a central computer. 1950,
my
so we're 3/4 of a century ago,
bumble,
and how dangerous this would be. And he thinks of it as an extinction level event that we have to start
Nobody
foreseeing and
ever
avoiding.
needs to be with
1950,
me.
okay, so everybody knew.
Duet.
Nobody can say they were. Everybody knew.
Man,
and
Duet
I've been
sends
writing
me
warnings about this
so
thing
many
for, I don't know, like my first major thing about social media and how bad it could be was 92. If anybody wants to look it up, it's called Agents of Alienation, about how software agents could with you.
Is the lawsuit gonna fix any of this? Like Gary mentioned the lawsuit. What do you think of it?
Everybody.
I think we're in a moment of great chaos where it's very hard to predict, even harder than usual to predict things. So the outcome of upcoming elections, both here and elsewhere, will be important to what happens.
Nothing
Right
happens.
now,
Draw
the
a
population in
white
general is very
threads.
uncomfortable with the tech industry.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny for me because at some point in the past, I was one of the very few people criticizing us, although doing it from the inside, and everybody thought it was just really weird. And now everybody's doing it, and I almost feel too conformist because I want to be the weirdo.
You want to be the weird
I want to be the weirdo.
Oh,
doing
everyone
something
caught up.
Ooh, not great. Hold on. I'm gonna skip ahead
To
a little bit.
take that
Little
out
bit.
and keep what is, in principle, a decent idea of social media. It's just the way that it's been developed to be addictive. Is there any way to, I want to say, untangle that?
Can you edit the beast?
Yeah.
Because in the early days, also just to follow
Can
up on
I
that, in
not
the
be
early
this
days
guy?
of the internet, there was like Friendster and stuff, right? And it wasn't this mean, or I don't remember specifically, but I
Can I not? I run literally the largest planetarium in Texas. Can I not be this guy? Like, I think I have some, like, interesting shit to say to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's technically my colleague. He's the planetarium director in New York. I'm a planetarium director in Texas. I don't know. Whatever.
feel like everything in the beginning was sort of nice.
It wasn't a
people.
cesspool.
It
Yeah.
wasn't a cesspool. It was like fun and cute. So why did we go into this mean direction?
The reason we went into the mean direction is that the only business model allowed in Silicon Valley is influence generation. So the idea is that you get the ability to influence a bunch of people and then other people pay into your system.
influencing
You could
people?
say they're paying to be able to influence, but I think the more accurate statement would be that they're paying blackmail money not to be left out of the influence pool. But however you want to frame it,
That's a brilliant way to think about it. Yeah.
so, but at any rate, so because that's the only allowed business model, everybody gets put under the influence of the algorithms, and the side effect of the algorithms are as we've described. Now, as for whether we can,
it's an outrage magnifier. That's really what it has become.
well, it's. Outrage is one of the things. Basically, from a neuroscience point of view, we believe. I mean, there's a community of people who studies this, of course, and I don't know that the science is complete because we don't really understand the brain. So I don't want to if I'm on a science show, I want to be careful to state the limits of what we actually know. But what we believe is that there are different parts of the brain that respond to the world in different ways and at different speeds, and there's a sort of a fast brain. And the fast brain sometimes is known as the fight or flight or the twitch response brain that is very alert to dangers and sometimes for opportunities to pounce on prey or find a mate or whatever it might be. But there are these things.
Primal. It's primal.
And so
at
the
that
thing
level.
is, when you're under the regime of instant feedback generated by an algorithm, what it tends to do is it tends to keep that fast brain stuff constantly activated. So it's like you're always being stalked, you're always stalking. You're always horny, but you're never satisfied. You're always you always feel that you're alone because you can't trust anybody. You're paranoid. You're always hyper-conscious about how you appear socially because you're worried about bullies. You're worried about being bullied all the time. Everybody is that way once in a while, but when you're like that all the time, then you turn into Trump or Elon.
Your people have hijacked and what would otherwise be a helpful evolutionary trait within us.
Yes, and I hope
that's
you thank
dangling
us.
there in modern times that has much less use today because there's not a lion in the brush, right?
Well, even when there were lions in the brush, you had to modulate between being hyper attentive and not. You can't be on all the time and be mentally healthy, even in that environment. It wears you down. So. Or at least that's our present understanding. I've seen that same conclusion from many people using different methodologies, but I want to answer the question of whether it can be improved because I think that's really the important one of our day.
Yeah.
So if I'm correct that the reason this is happening is that we're only allowing one business model, then the way to fix it is to allow other business models. And so...
That sounds so obvious.
Yeah.
But maybe it's impossibly obvious. I mean, it's...
No, I know. Look, I'm not saying this is easy, but I'm just saying that the logic is easy. Now, the implementation might be quite difficult and might not be doable within our lifetimes. I don't know. But I do want to point out that the onset of all these troubles coincided with an ideology that was somewhat paid for by the companies and somewhat an authentic grassroots ideology that it's evil and horrible to pay for information, like pay musicians or something like that, or pay for software, and that there has to be this free sharing, and that's what the internet is for, which sounds great until you understand the network effect, which means that every time you freely share your open source software, the party who gets richer and more powerful is not the community, but it's the Google or whoever's at the center. And so if you don't understand network effects and how the math works, you don't understand that your very well-intentioned activism is actually having exactly the opposite effect that you think it is. So the pirate party actually was in service of an empire, just like the original pirates.
What about like...
Damn, you're bumming us out here, dude.
This is like so sad.
Well, stop. Don't ask me serious questions.
Okay,
like, if you want... But wait, I have to say one other thing, though, which is that if you're saying, well, are there alternate business models? Yes. And I also want to point out, you were saying, can it be better? There's some evidence it can be better because not all online hubs or platforms are equally bad. You can see a variation in them, like GitHub is better than 4chan or something like that. And so if you look at the spectrum of badness in different hubs, you can compare them and you can ask, well, what is different about them? And if you start doing that, it kind of, you get a vector out of it that points you into what might be better still. And I think that's a really interesting and worthwhile thing to do. And we do have the data to do that.
I'm glad to hear that.
Neil, before Jaron jumps onto another subject here, if these tech bros, and I'm sure there are a few sisters in there too, do not self-regulate, do not allow a competitive arena, who makes them do it? Is it government? Are they worth more than government? Surely the tail is wagging a dog here. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Plus, they were all on the inauguration stage.
How about that, Neil?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So look, the thing about very rich and powerful people is that their wealth and power still depends on a mass population that accepts some system in which their wealth and power is defined. Right. And so if they lose enough popular legitimacy and support, no matter how central they are, they fall. Okay.
All right.
And that's happened repeatedly in history, and it's really not any different now. So what I'm seeing is enormous discontent with tech, and I also see young people especially being incredibly discontented.
Yeah, I don't want AI data centers fucking coming in here.
With it. There's another phenomenon which is really interesting, which is that the current generation of young men doing tech, the AI people, are starting to get old enough that they're starting to have kids, and that really changes people.
Yeah.
You'll see their character turn around. That really has an effect, usually. Not all of us.
I actually feel like I was like verging on a sociopath before I had a child. So like I do see that changing
in
people.
fact, one of the clearest transitions anyone makes are comedians after they have children.
Oh, I mean,
it changes their portfolio of jokes.
Oh, absolutely.
And their observations of the world.
We have a child that we can mock mercilessly, which we do, but the mocking is on a bed of love.
You will pay for that someday.
I mean, I'm already paying
Let
for
me
it.
assure you. Okay.
So, Gary, where are we pivoting next?
All right, before we do, all right, Jaron, let me float this. I'm sure thinkers like yourself have had this consideration. Do we have a delete day, a delete month? And would that ever be enough if everyone just said, you know what, screw this, I'm going to delete my account? What would move the needle? What would it take to move the needle?
I've tended not to try to do things like a delete day, and I'll tell you why. It's because each person is different. Like what I called my book 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media, but I didn't say that you should do it. There's some people for whom it makes sense, and I don't think those people should be put under social pressure or shamed. I really don't. I don't think that gets us anywhere. And in fact, it just puts us back in the same game we're trying to get out of.
Can I tell you what I did? I noticed over the years, because I have a pretty high following in social media, I noticed that...
Brag? Okay.
I'm just trying to...
Guys, Neil has a lot of followers, guys. Okay.
I don't have 14 fucking million
I noticed that if I ever posted something
crack
that
500
was or even was adjacent to an opinion, people who didn't agree with the opinion would attack it. They wouldn't say, oh, that's interesting. Here's my opinion. What do you think of that? They would attack it. And that attack mode was highly revealing to me because it showed me the anger that people had with any views that differed from their own, and that there was a militancy of people's attitudes that I had not ever seen growing up when people had different points of view. So as an educator, I want to be effective. I don't want to fight if I don't have to fight. So I navigate that. And so I no longer post opinions, I post perspectives. And people might still react in an opinionated way, but I don't want to give up that platform if, as an educator, I can continue to deliver perspectives that do not jump into the cesspool that surrounds these islands of learning. So that's what I've done. So your 10 reasons for deleting, I love them. But let me find the reasons to not delete, and that's where...
Well, okay.
So I climbed out of that hole.
My working theory is that 1/3 of people on any digital platform benefit from it, and 2/3 suffer from it. Now, I'll tell you where that comes from, because it's an ironclad scientific argument.
But so you didn't just pull those numbers out of your ass.
Interesting.
Because it sounds like you did.
I have an ironclad scientific ass.
Well, there it is. If we all had ironclad science ass, we could pull all kinds of stuff out of it.
Yeah, that's what this world is missing. But no, wait, can I just give you my argument after all that? Don't you want to hear it? Aren't you even slightly curious?
I want to know your ironclad ass argument.
Okay. In the Turing test, Turing argues that since we don't have some meter for whether somebody has a soul inside or if they're alive inside.
Let me just remind people, Alan Turing wrote a paper called The Imitation Game, where he describes an experiment, this is very early on, where how would you know if you're talking to a computer or another human?
And nobody knows these days. The Turing test is completely washed.
So you set up a conversation between the two of you,
Turing test
and
is completely
if you don't know, then maybe the distinction isn't important.
There's a third person who's a judge who's supposed to tell which is which.
Oh!
And if the judge doesn't know, then you say, well, we might as well call the computer. And then there are different versions of this. Maybe the computer's intelligent, maybe it's got a soul, maybe it deserves rights, whatever.
Other questions you might ask.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, it should
That's
be
the Turing test. I just want to catch people up on that.
This is based on a rather naughty old Victorian party game where it's supposed to be a man and a woman behind booths, and the judge is trying to tell which is the man and which is the woman. And the questions were not for polite company.
Oh,
okay. So that's where it comes from. And for those who don't know, during the time when Turing wrote this, he was being tortured to death for being gay because it was illegal at the time in Britain. And there's a whole crazy backstory to this. But let's leave all that aside. So here's the thing. The only thing the Turing test can tell is whether a judge can distinguish the two. It's possible that the person got stupid or got less self-aware or whatever, just as that's equally logically possible to the computer becoming more elevated in some way. So you can't tell if the computer got stupid or the person got smarter, but there's two people in one computer because there's the contestant and the judge and only one computer. Therefore, there's a 2/3 chance that a person got stupid and a 1/3 chance that the computer got smarter. So therefore, as a general rule, my ass tells us, my highly reliable ass tells us that 2/3 of the people on any digital thing, whether it's AI or whatever, are going to be degraded by it, but 1/3 will see a genuine benefit. And I think you're in that 1/3.
Yeah. Okay.
And I also
Thank
think
you for that affirmation, because
Yeah.
I always felt uncomfortable given what I see going on these platforms.
It might be an affirmation or an ascertainment. But,
Thank you for the affirmation. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
But
see,
I
this
also
is a
think-
really elevated. We're not just school kids here.
No,
This is
no.
professional science
This is
here.
how scientists speak.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just so
okay.
for the audience to know.
Right.
I also just think like 3/3 of people would benefit if it just wasn't on a phone. Like if social media wasn't on your phone and then you had to like designate time for it, like as a going to your
Okay.
laptop, wouldn't that like do the job?
Read the final chapter of 1950, Norbert Wiener, founder of cybernetics, before anything in computer science. Final chapter says, just as a thought experiment, imagine there was a small portable device that's radio connected you could carry around that undertook behavior modification things. This would destroy civilization. However, I, as one of the world's leading scientists, assure you this is physically impossible and will never happen. So you don't need to worry.
So Gary.
Yeah. Sort of stringing this daisy chain of thoughts that Jaron has and just bringing them sort of to one place. We've seen this lawsuit against Meta and social media addiction, and now everybody's calling it that sort of 21st version of big tobacco. Is this just the warm-up for something that we could find ourselves in with AI? Because if we're talking about AI and responsibility for actions AI takes, are we not back to this simple lawsuit of this time it's not social media addiction, it's an artificial intelligence?
There is no AI. To say there is no AI is to say that there is no intelligence amongst regular humans, because AI takes what humans have done and reinterprets it, and that's what humans have done. I'm sorry, but like, as much as I don't like AI, I will show you there's been no... Hold on. In fact, all of these are AI. I don't make money from it, though. Whenever you start making money from it, that's when I get a little bit weird about it. I don't like it. But there's been nothing out there that uses anything like this. AI created this. It ain't a perfect saxophone. It's good enough. So that's kind of what we do.
I work on AI. I work on it all the time. I think that the kind of AI we're doing right now can actually be a benefit. I think we're spending way too much and taking up way too many resources on data centers. I think there are various ways we're doing it that are a little foolish and simple-minded. I think a lot of the claims are overblown and somewhat theatrical rather than real. But I do think there's a core there that's important in a few different regards. The reason I'm going to say this is that I don't think that having big tech companies is a bad thing or a necessary evil. I think there's some big jobs that need to get done by big companies, you know. So what I'm hoping is that corrections can happen in a gentle and constructive way instead of some, you know, destructive way. There's a fantasy that if you go and blow something up or let it blow itself up, that what comes out will be better. It's what Lenin called maximizing the contradiction, and there are other terms for it, but I don't think it ever works. I think what happens when things blow up is that you have rubble. You know, you don't squeeze the toothpaste back in the tube easily, and you don't rebuild from rubble easily, and I don't think it's generally a good strategy. And so what I'm hoping for is, rather than the emotional satisfaction, oh yeah, those people are terrible, we'll blow them up, or some horrible thing will happen. What I really want to see is a constructive transformation, and you know, and I want to be part of that. That's why I'm both inside it and a critic, because I don't think that's inconsistent. I think we should be responsible for being able to criticize ourselves and improve, and I think it's healthy. And so that's what I'm hoping. It doesn't mean that that's what we're going to get, but I do believe that I don't think it's too late to hope for that.
Can you distinguish for me the mythologizing of AI versus AI simply being a tool? Because AI is on everyone's tongue today, and everyone's mind, and everyone's fear.
It's kind of like Trump and AI. People can't stop talking about those two things on any given news cycle.
Yeah, and they're both hollow. So a couple things about AI. Let me propose to you something. If I show you some object, there's more than one way to think about that object, right? Would you agree with that? Like, if I say, get me directions to this place, one way is with a map where you see it, and another way is with step-by-step directions, and they're equivalent, but they're different, right? Very, very basic. So in the same way, there's a completely different way to think about AI that's equally valid, but I think is better in a practical sense. Technically, it's equivalent. And that equivalent way is you can think of AI as a new form of collaboration between a collection of people. So let me explain what I mean by that. Throughout history, the ramp of technological capability improvement has been marked by people learning how to cooperate more and more. Language was the biggest step way early, but then, you know, there's the Gutenberg press, there's writing, and then Gutenberg, and then there's radio, and whatever, all these different things. If you look at the Wikipedia as a little point on that ramp, it takes a bunch of people's work, and they cooperate together and make this single document. There's some things about the Wikipedia I don't like, but let's use it. There's a lot that's great about it.
Right. I also use Wikipedia
about it, you know. So now you can think of large language model AI, the kind that's on everybody's mind, as a whole bunch of people whose work was combined into this single document, like the Wikipedia. It's much vaster. Their contributions and their efforts were much less voluntary. There's a lot of things that are different, but fundamentally it's the same kind of beast, right? Now, if you think of AI as a collaboration of a bunch of people instead of as some new entity, you haven't said a single thing technically. It doesn't make any technical difference. It doesn't change any code. It's just a different perspective, but when you have that perspective, suddenly new avenues open up that are amazing, and it's a better way to think about it. I'd like to get into some of the reasons you'd want to think about it that way, because they're very profound. But why do people want it to be a creature? Why do they want that? Why do they want it to be an entity? Well, there's a few reasons. One is you're a young man, you think the world owes you everything, you get paid a lot, you think you're the center of the universe. Of course you think you're making God. You know, that's what you want. That's how you think. That's where you are. I kind of remember being that way when I was 20 or something.
You're describing a lot of men I dated in my 20s.
On behalf of my gender, I apologize. You're right. We're wrong. No, I mean, I remember like when we were starting VR, we thought a lot of ourselves. We thought this is the most exciting room in the whole universe ever. Like I remember thinking like this is the most thing. And, you know, it was actually a pretty cool room at the time. It started to work. But the thing is, there's a lot of ego in it. But then there's another thing, which is almost everybody in it is pretty young. And they grew up on a diet of science fiction movies and video games. And the stories that they have that are vocabularies for how they understand the world and how they can express the world are all just like this. They didn't have the Star Trek of the 90s, which was this cool, positive world that was socially improving at the same time.
I'm not feeling this guy, I'm sorry. Venus?
You can think.
This week.
Okay, anyway, I will be back later. I think my sister's coming over to swim. I don't know when, but be back later on tonight.